This is a video for Chapter 2, Section 4. This is a little short one, but important. Today we're going to talk, or on this video, we're going to talk about beaming. And beaming with a purpose is what it says. So beaming can make the music very readable, or it can make it not readable. And this is a good example here. So these are both correctly beamed here, and the basic principle is pretty simple. You want to beam to show the beat, and I'm gonna write that on here because that is what it is. Beam to show the beat. Beam to show the beat. Okay, so let's I'm just going to do an example. Let's do we'll do it in 4/4, and I'm just going to write a rhythm that doesn't have beams, and we'll see if we can beam it correctly. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is go and find where the beats are. So we've got 4/4, that's 4 beats in the measure, and a quarter note gets the beat. So here's beat 1, here's beat 2, here's beat 3 and 4 and, okay? Now I'm going to write the same rhythm, but I'm going to do it with beams. And we beam those two together, right? Because that's a beat, beat 1. Here's beat 2, here's beat 3, and beat 4. We can do this a couple different ways in this meter. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And that really shows, that's a lot easier to read than this one because you've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and, right? So in 4/4, one thing that you can do is, because when you get 4/4, it's like you have two strong beats. You've got a strong beat on the downbeat, and then a kind of a stronger but not quite as strong beat. Well, not quite as strong, but still stronger than the rest of the beats, except for beat 1 on 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if you have 4/8 notes in the first half of the measure, or 4/8 notes in the last half of the measure, you can beam them together. But you always want to show where beat 3 is with beams. You don't ever want to beam across beat 2 and 3. So another way to write this would be, you can beam these two together. Beam that, or that doesn't beam because it's quarter note. And then you can beam all 4 of these together. And this is just in 4/4, right? So that still shows 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So with beaming, you can do it that way in 4/4. In 3/4, you want to make sure to show all of the beats. Okay? Sometimes okay, let's just do that. So we got an 1/8 note, a quarter note, and then 3/8 notes. So that is 1, 1.5 beats. Here's 2 beats, and then there's 3 beats. How would we beam that? Okay, so here's beat 1, beat 2 is kind of somewhere in there, and then beat 3. So what we can do is it's called a syncopated rhythm. You can't beam to a quarter note, so we'll just keep that there. That's just a quarter note, right? And then instead of beaming all 3 of these together, we would keep that a flag, and then we'd beam these 2 together. Okay, so that's 1 and, right? And 2 comes here, and 3 and 1 and 1 and 3 and. So that would be 1, 2, ready, go, 1 and 3 and, right? And you can't really show the beat here because you've got a quarter note, but you can show the beat where you don't want to beam these 3 together. you want to always, if you can, show where the beats are with your beams. Okay, let's go back to the textbook. I think there's a good example there. And this shows an example. This is in 6/8, so this is a compound meter. What does compound mean? That means you've got this top number is divisible by 3, right? Your bottom number is your division of the beat. So if you go 3 into 6, that's 2. So that means you've got 2 beats of 3/8 notes. So that's 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, right? This, it looks like it's beamed in 3/4. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... But actually, we've got 2 beats of a dotted quarter that we need to beam together. So you beam all those together. Right? Right? I played a couple wrong notes. Sorry about that. I'm a sax player. What do you expect? Sheesh. I'm just kidding. Okay. So, and it makes a big difference. Right? Instead of, this would be right? 1, 2, completely different feel, and a musician would play it that way because it's beamed that way. Okay, so compound meters, you need to make sure to beam according to the beat. Same kind of thing. So here we've got this. Here's 1, and then there's beat 2, 3, and 4, right? And then 1 and 2E and 3 and 4, right? So this is an example of where it is beamed incorrectly. If you see, you've got beat 1, and then 1 and, because you got your dot, and then this looks like it's a beat right here. These 2 notes beam together, but it's not. Beat 3 is right here, so these 2 notes should be beamed together. And then this one, you can do that kind of beaming, but this and the and here and the note kind of go together. So that should just be a flag. And then you could beam all those together and then beam those 2 together, right? It's pretty difficult to read, but this is really easy. And 2E and 3 and 4, right? So the moral of the story is beam to show the beat. And if you're doing something like this where it's showing a beat that's not really a beat, then that's not good. Okay, the next section talks about flag direction. And remember that the flag direction and stem direction. Basic rule of thumb is if you've got a note on the middle line, it can go either up or down. The stem can. Okay, if you've got a note that's above the middle line, then the stem goes down. If you've got a note that's below the middle line, then the stem goes up. And stems, if I enlarged the note head, it would kind of look like this. It's kind of like an oval, okay? And it kind of tips on its side a little bit. And the stems always attach to the lower or the upper side. So if the stem's going down, then it attaches to the lower side here. If the stem's going up, then it attaches to the higher side. That's kind of how the stems work. So remember that the stem, if it's going down, is on the left side. If it's going up, is on the right side. And then flags always go the same direction, no matter which what side the stem is on. They always go to the right. Okay, so flags always go to the right. Stems, if they're going down, are on the left side of the note, and if they're going up, they're on the right side of the note. If you get 2 notes, like if you're doing a chord or some beams or something like this, here, I'll just put it in treble clef here. and let's say we're in 6/8 here, and these are eighth notes. If you're beaming all of these together, which way do you put the stems, up or down? Well, you look at how many of your notes are above the middle line and how many notes are below, and the distance between the middle line from the middle line. So this one goes up higher than this one does from the middle line. So I would beam all of them together with the stem going down, because this is the one that's governing which way the stems go. Okay? And then if it's a chord, same kind of thing. If you've got like a chord like that, then the stem would go down because you got more notes and further away from the middle line than the A there. Okay? So that's kind of how stems and beams work, and it shows here. So the stems always go to the right, and the flags always go to the right. The stems go on the right of the note if they're going up, on the left of the note if they're going down. Okay, and stem, like it says here, stem direction has no effect on the sound. That's true. It's just an easier way to look at it. Okay, this shows a choral setting where you've got 4 different voices. Okay, so like the sopranos would sing up here, the altos would sing down here, the tenors would sing up here, and the basses would sing down here. And you can have all of the stems go up, even if they go above the middle line, and in the soprano line, and all of the stems going down in the alto. That just shows more clearly who's singing what. And you've got 2 separate lines of music on one staff. And same thing with here. So that's why those are stemmed up and down. Okay. Repeat signs. I don't know that we need to worry about repeat signs right now. We'll get into those later. And then the other thing here is it just says keeping notation simple. We don't need to worry about that either. We might talk about that later. These all show the same kind of rhythms, but it's just easier to put them all as quarter notes unless you absolutely want something different, but that's kind of irrelevant at this point. We're not going to really delve into that. Okay, I think this does it for chapter 2. We'll move on to Practica Musica.